Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I am so excited about today's guest. I have shared space with her on Clubhouse. We've had numerous financial talks about some of my investing projects, and I am super excited to have her on. Tamar Hermes is a full-time real estate investor, educator, and money coach. She is the CEO and founder of Wealth Warrior Woman, which I love the alliteration, and I love just the title of your group, where she guides women to become financially free through real estate investing and creating an empowering relationship to money. Tamar, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here with you, Pili. You always bring the aloha. And when you bring aloha, everyone wants to be with you.
Oh, thank you. Well, aloha to you, Tamar. Thank you so much for coming on. Let's dig in. I'm super excited to get to talk with you. So your bio is actually much more extensive than that, but I'd rather hear it from you. Here you're talking about how you grew up poor as the child of a Holocaust survivor. Can we dig into that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I like to bring that up because we all have stories, and most of us that have made it successfully in finance on our own through real estate investing or through other means, we've overcome some things. And so for me, I like to share that part of my story because I did grow up poor. I didn't grow up with any idea about a financial background like many people. And I want women especially to understand that we all come from somewhere and we all can make it to the other side of the rainbow, which we're still in the world. So it's not like it's all rainbows and butterflies over here, but we can all live without a stress of money and having that burden in life. And so that is something that I really like to emphasize to others, because I want people to know I'm just like you. I came from where you are, maybe all of our pains are we can't really say one person's pain is worse than another, but it certainly was a challenging childhood for me.
So this drew you into becoming a money coach. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that having a financial coach, somebody to coach you into that, the fact that it's okay to want and use money correctly, to have somebody that like that on your team is so key. I mean, I wish I had known you, Tamar, back in my 20s, my 30s, finally in my 40s. I'm finally becoming, and I still have qualms about money and the ability for myself to make it. How do you talk to women or just people in general about money? And what are the first few steps that you take them through?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. First of all, I wish I knew me when I was 22, right? Because I've learned so much over the years. And the truth is that these days, I'm really looking at more tactical approaches. We definitely work on mindset with clients. But what we found is that when we're in action and when we're actually doing the work, what we find is that it's not as hard as we think it's going to be. And once we're there, once we've gotten that first property, or once we've saved that first $100,000, or had equity in a property, and we see the money coming in, we realize I'm the same person. I'm the person that didn't think I could do this, and this is where I am now. And that is, I think, a really healing way to be. So we hear it a lot about action, 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 but it really can proceed and really support us getting through a lot of the barriers. Now, granted, that there are times where there are subconscious blocks, and I think that I think we all have it, where it sometimes we feel a pain, like we realize, okay, now there's money in the bank, but I'm still not feeling that happy, or I'm still scared that it's going to all go away, or I'm worried that I won't have enough. And so again, with those, we just need to talk through those fears and see that a lot of them can be mitigated through practical financial literacy and study, and remind ourselves that okay, we can do this. And the other thing is that, let's say you do lose money. That's the thing. We act like, there's that old study about like that we used to be in survival mode. Yeah, we thought we were like being attacked by tigers, and we're not anymore, and we still get this panic. So when we can start looking at money and realizing, okay, like let's say I do lose a little bit of money or a lot of money. The truth is there's a lot of really successful financial people that have lost a ton of money in real estate, and they are absolutely doing great. So it is absolutely not the end of the world. I mean, Grant Cardone's great example, someone that a lot of people really respect, who lost all his money. He talks about it, and the list goes on. So it's just not the end of the world. In fact, most people would say that the things that the most challenging parts where they've lost money and when they made it back are really what helped them really come back strong and really get over those money fears and humps.
So let's talk about that a little bit, dig a little deeper about money fears and humps. You talk about the fear of like losing money. How do you walk somebody through their biggest fear? And what are some of the biggest fears that you've encountered, maybe from yourself and others that you've worked with?
Well, it goes back to, Tony Robbins always says our biggest fear is that we're not lovable or we're not enough. And I think for me, definitely that feeling of not enough, not having enough, that fear of not being able to take care of my family, not being able to survive, not being able to have a comfortable life, not being able to travel, all the things that we want for ourselves, not being able to afford life insurance. I mean, it's getting to a point where there are a lot of pressures in the world. And so I have to say, I don't, I'm not a big, oh, it'll be okay, don't worry about it, or, don't just work through it. I really feel like it's a process, and I'm very sympathetic to those feelings because they are real when we're pressured and we're stressed. And I would say that what I like to do is just listen and let people know that there's a space for them, that they might have these fears, and let them start to walk through it and realize that step by step they can choose not to have that feeling anymore. And so it's very important that we start to understand that no one can really take it away from you. You have to make a choice to be the kind of person you want to be. You need to surround yourself with people that are being that way, and you need to believe that there's no reason that you can't be that person as well. Because the truth is that if you are stuck in a space where you feel like you're not going to get through something, then you're really going to end up staying there, and there's not much that anyone can do about it. So it is your choice, it is your power to move through step by step. I just lost you. I have no audio.
There we go.
Hi, you're back.
I'm back. I love the fact that you mentioned responsibility, because that's huge. That's huge on somebody taking responsibility for their lives, for their financial stability. But what are some action steps for those people who are right there, who need that helping hand, that guiding step to taking that first step to responsibility, to financial stability? They're living in the fear right now. What's something actionable that they can do right now in this moment to take that step?
I would say one of the best actions that you can take is to get a piece of paper and a pen and start writing. Write down where you're at, write down what's going on for you. Start working through it with yourself a little bit, because it's the relationship with yourself. Don't, yes, you can call friends, you can get a therapist, you can get a coach, you can do a lot of those things, and they will all help move the needle. But you need to heal yourself with your relationship with yourself. And I find, even when I get stressed about a project or something personal, I'll start writing. And I really start to look at columns, okay, what are my fears about this? Do I really think this is going to happen? What can I do? Or what's my next step? And I'll also take little steps. The other thing that that works really well is studies have shown that when we're in gratefulness, we're not feeling negative or down about ourselves. So if we start thinking gratefully, then we start thinking about what we want to do, and not think of like 800 things, or not, if you're at $200,000. Don't start thinking, oh, I want a net worth of 5 million next year, because you're kind of setting yourself up in a way where you're going to feel a little overwhelmed, because that's a lot. That's a big jump. But if you set yourself up, I mean, why you set your goals high? I mean, if you're at 200, you can say, I want to make a million, and start working toward that, start chipping away, start talking to people, look at the opportunities. Pili and Jason offer syndication deals. There's all kinds of opportunities that you can get into where you can do it passively or actively. And real estate is definitely a great place to start growing that wealth.
Let's start with that. So you've written these things down. You're starting to step out of the fear. You're starting to take care of your credit, take care of your bank account, take care of yourself. You've started to really dig deep. So now you've started to grow, and you hear about this thing called real estate. So Tamar, how do you use real estate to become financially free?
Well, I mean, real estate is by far the vehicle that has made more millionaires than any other asset. So we know that there are a myriad of opportunities to grow wealth through real estate. And I would say the first thing is interesting. I just put this post on. I was really thinking about Alice in Wonderland yesterday, and that the Cheshire Cat, when he says, if you don't know where you're going, it really doesn't matter what road you take. And I was saying that's a great recipe for real estate investing. The truth is, just get started, just pick a path. It doesn't matter that much. Just make sure you can afford it, or make sure you can find partners that'll give you the money to afford it, and just get started. I mean, that's really it. Just put one foot in front of the other. I mean, don't think of you can think of the big deals, certainly, and have that vision. That's important. But then just step by step, just get through each property, each investment at a time, and it starts to grow. That asset column just starts to build, and that's how you start growing your wealth.
And I love that. I love the idea of just get started. Yes, there's all the planning that you can do. And yes, I think you'd agree with me. If you fail to plan, then you are planning to fail. So have some planning, but without taking that first step, without actually getting out of the analysis paralysis and taking that step into financial and wealth creation, you're basically going nowhere really, really quickly, like the Cheshire Cat said. So thank you for that. So there was something I read here. Okay. So you just mentioned blogging, and I love that. I love the fact that you coach clients across the country and you blog for Bigger Pockets while hunting for your next deal. And you were recently a guest on Bigger Pockets. So you're huge on Bigger Pockets. Talk about some of the blogs you write and how you help people find that financial education.
Yeah, well, the financial education, obviously, Bigger Pockets is a great resource. And there is so much information on there that you can get for free, or you can become a pro member. And for a few $100s a year, it's great. The thing is, though, is that it's not a coaching program. And I hear this a lot on in the forums. I'm not on there that much because I'm actually doing my work, so I don't really have time to kind of look at the forums all the time. But once in a while, I'll pop in there, and people will say, "Oh, you can do it yourself. You don't need a coach." Well, that's true. You could do it yourself, and you may not need a coach. But if you really want to get an insurance policy in terms of, okay, is this a good deal? I think it is, but I'm not 100% sure. And you want structure. I think that joining some sort of mastermind or being in a program is very, very, very beneficial. So that would be the approach that I would take for sure. And also just in terms of being okay to be in the process. And like with you, Pili, I know that you start out as a real estate agent, and then you started moving into multifamily, and you took a course, and you educated yourself with your husband, and so it's a process. It's like, be okay with being in the process to get. And even now that you've evolved to where you're at, you're still evolving, and so I think that's part of it. The blogging for me was really a way to be seen in the industry and to be respected in terms of the knowledge that I had, the thoughts that I had. And I will write about various things. It just depends on the top. I'll write all kinds of things. And a lot of times I was writing a lot about COVID because that was what was up for so many of us, like what's happening in the market, what's going to happen with the moratorium, what's going to happen with foreclosures, and what are the what can we be thinking about? Where might we want to be buying? Those are the kinds of things that that I would write about to help give the readers knowledge in terms of ideas that they might want to take for themselves and move forward with.
See, that is amazing though, because as you're, and we can talk a little bit about this, how blogs, how podcasts, how getting yourself out there, just you're able to give back to the community, to a community where, I mean, when I say a community, the real estate community at large that has given so much to you. I mean, that's at least how I see it. By blogging, by putting out podcasts, I'm able not only to put myself out there, but I'm also able to give back. Do you see it the same way?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I live a life of financial freedom. And so my company, my real estate endeavors, everything that I do is really from my heart, from what I enjoy and what I want to do. Now, granted, I don't have, let's face it, I'm on the planet, so I'm not immune to the world. And for example, my husband recently fell in Walgreens. So he literally went into Walgreens to buy my son candy and slipped. And he is recovering from shoulder surgery as a result. So things can happen, life happens to everyone where nobody is exempt. So, let's start there. But for the most part, I really do things that I enjoy. I'm very grateful to be able to wake up in the morning and to do work that I love, to have the sort of day that I want to have. And even with life happening, we definitely giving back is a big piece of it. And for sure, once I had reached a certain point financially, I really realized that giving back was critical to me, because I realized there were so many things that I had learned along the journey that I wish I would have known. And that I realized that no one really needed to struggle or to be scared or to feel defeated or to feel sad. And I don't want people to feel that way, because they don't need to, because everyone's capable of buying real estate.
And I love that. So let's talk a little bit more about Wealth Warrior Woman. Because okay, number one, how did you come up with that title? Because I love alliterations. So give us a little bit more information about why Wealth Warrior Women and how you move forward with that title, with that just mindset. I love it. Please explain more.
Well, I have to say that nothing that's worth doing comes easy. And so, you Wealth Warrior Woman, it wasn't like I'm not one of those people that just woke up in the morning and was like, I'm going to be the Wealth Warrior Woman and I'm going to make $1 million, coaching, and yay. It was definitely a process. And I say that also because I think also in the coaching space, there's a lot of people that want to coach. There's a lot of people that want to be in real estate that are probably listening to this. And I want you to know that it's okay if you start and one person shows up. It's okay if you do a project in real estate and your first property doesn't make a lot of money. That is part of the journey. That is the way life goes. It's not win, 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 win. And I think it's important, because I think unless you're willing to be in the space where you're not always winning, you'll never win. You have to be willing to lose to win. And that's huge. And so Wealth Warrior Woman, I have to say, there were so many iterations. It's funny because people look at my website now and they think, oh, your website's so good. And I just laugh when I think about how many iterations I've had on my website, how many times I've changed it, how many photo shoots I've had, how many times that I've tried and felt like it was just not working. And I actually, in one of my 25 coaches that I hired, I went and someone actually, I hadn't even hired this woman yet, but somebody had told me about her. I really liked her. And she had a publicity sort of visibility coaching program. And so we met for coffee and we just connected and we were talking. And she said, because she kind of got the world of me and like what I was about and this fire and coming from nothing and kind of, saying, "Oh, I've got, stuff I want to give." And she said, you're the wealth warrior. And I was like, "Oh, wow, yeah," that kind of felt, yeah, like, yeah, I guess I could be the wealth warrior. And then as I went through, and there's a book by Stephen Chandler that's really good called Wealth Warrior, and it doesn't talk about real estate, but I thought, well, I want to distinguish myself. I don't want to have a name that's already out there. And so I just thought, well, I'm a woman and I stand for women, and I really wanted to be a stand for women. And so I said, I'll be Wealth Warrior Woman. And that's how that happened. And then I just kind of, and then through it's interesting because, once you stand up and you actually say, I believe in this, or I want this, you're going to have the naysayers. You're going to have people saying, like, I don't like wealth warrior women. It's not sophisticated. It's not this. It's not that. Like, I had people telling me that, people that I respected that were smart, and you have to be able to, or, oh, don't buy that property. Like, don't you see that's not going to go anywhere? Don't you, do you, that's a bad property. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. Like, and it takes so much. Like, I can't believe I'm the one saying that, because it took me so long to get to that point where I was able to say, you know what? No, I'm going to be the wealth warrior woman. That's what I decided I want to do. And I'm just going to do it. And if you don't like it, then some people may not like it. And that's okay. I'm hoping more people will like it than not like it. And I'm going to do it.
I love it. You almost have me almost to the point of tears, because you've said so much, and just by answering my last question that I totally just jive with. I understand where you're coming from. I mean, just having those naysayers. But one thing that popped out in my head was, yes, there's going to be those naysayers that are outside of you, those people that might not like the title of whatever you're doing, might not like the fact that you're doing real estate, might not like you. I mean, there just might not be people who like you. But what about those naysayers in your head? Those thoughts that you have that take you away from maybe your life's journey, maybe the thought that you have, maybe you have this huge thought about being the wealth warrior woman, but then that naysaying thought comes into your head saying, why should you do that? Why should you think that you're the wealth warrior woman? Because I know this happens to all of us, man, woman, wherever you are in life. This happens to you, that naysayer in your head. How do you talk to that person, Tamar? How do you tell that person that it is okay for her to step out and be the person that she is and she wants to be and that she could be?
Yeah, that's a great question. Definitely, that is very real. And especially, even though men have it, women have it more. We're harder on ourselves. There's studies that have come out where a man will apply for a job when he has 60% of the qualifications. A woman will apply for that same job when she has 100%. So think of the big gap and the opportunity that we are just sitting back thinking, I'm not that person. I'm not that person. Now, there's a couple things that I want to share. One is that I am actually 54. And so I feel like as time goes on in your life, you start to care less and less what other people say. And I think it's because you start to be really aware that, your clock is ticking. And at a certain point, and I say this just hoping that someone that's 25 is listening to this going, yeah, my clock's ticking too. And, I don't want to spend my life feeling like people don't like me. The truth is that this is what's so interesting. I have so much to share on this, is that I used to always think people didn't like me. I grew up in my parents sent me to a very wealthy, affluent school. We lied about our address so we could go into that area, and we really couldn't afford it. And I just thought I was lesser than. I didn't know. I just thought, well, I don't have as much as they do, so I'm not as good as they are. And just people think I'm weird. They don't like me. And it started to become a place. I see that finger pointing. It started to get to a point where it was like, I believed it. Like, I really believed it. Like, I would be on this podcast and I would think, God, I said that, and I just think Pili, I think she didn't, she's had so many more interesting guests. I just don't think she thought I would just get into this weird space. And I believed it. I believed it. And I had to get to a point where I really started to ask myself, what, why like why wouldn't she like me? Like, what have I done? That's the same thing. Like, even Peely, when you said like there's going to be people that don't like you, the truth is they probably just don't like themselves. And I don't mean that to put it back on them, but you know, when one finger's pointing at you, there's three back at, you know, at yourself. Or when you're pointing your finger at somebody, there's three back at you, right? And the truth is that there's no reason for someone not to like you. There's no reason for someone not to like me or Peely or anybody. We're just people in the world. Like, we're good people. You know, there's no reason. So the truth is, I realize that, and even every once in a while, I get like, once in a while now it happens where I get triggered back. And I just say to myself, like, does that really make sense? Like, or I'll call somebody and they don't call me back for a day or something. And I'm thinking, oh, that person, you know, probably doesn't want to talk to me or something. I'm like, does that make sense? And the way that I solve for it is, what I'll do is I will call that person back. And I'll actually say like, oh, hey, or an email or something. Oh, did you miss my email? 9 out of 10, they say, yeah, I missed your email. I was busy or I was sick. Like, I just talked to a friend today and I hadn't heard back from him. And I thought, I wasn't like so much, I'm kind of past that, like he doesn't like me, but I was like, what? You know, I really started thinking like something happened maybe to him. And it turns out he did. He had a problem with his hearing, and he had this big thing, medical thing. And he's okay. But the truth is that it wasn't me. He just couldn't talk. And so, you know, we do these things to ourselves. So that is one big piece, is to start to ask yourself, like, am I inherently a bad person? Like, why wouldn't somebody like me? Like, what reason would they have to not like me? I mean, there's not really any great reason that anybody would have. I mean, unless you actually went and, like, you know, committed murder on an innocent person or did something where we really would say like, that's not really an honorable person. But most of us are just trying to be good people and get through life and have a good time here. So, I mean, there's not really a great reason why someone wouldn't like you. So that's part of it. And then I think the other big piece is that, and this is something you may have heard before, but it really is true. You need to step into being the person that you want to be. And I can't say that enough. Like, it's almost like that fake it till you make it. There's that great Amy Cuddy, I think she did a TED talk on this, on that Wonder Woman, you know, how you stand up straight and you know, and it literally, like, you do this and all of a sudden you're confident just by changing your posture. And so the thing is that when you start to step into the person, like, if you think, I want to be the kind of person that owns real estate and that is financially free. I want to be a strong woman. I want to have a beautiful love relationship in my life. I want to have beautiful children. I want to be the kind of person that has nice things, but that can give back to others. I want to be the kind of person that's giving in the world. I want to be the kind of person that makes a difference. When you are that, when you think of those people and you are that, and you wake up in the morning and you step into that and you honor that in yourself, you will start to become like that person. And all the other stuff doesn't come into play. That person, that Wonder Woman, she's not thinking people don't like me. She's freaking Wonder Woman. Hello? People like her. They like her a lot and they want to be her. So, you know, you got to think of those things.
Yes, all the yeses. I know on the podcast you can't. I'm in here like cheering. I just want you to like keep on talking, because that is something that people need to know, man, woman. But you are wealth warrior woman, and talking about Wonder Woman, talking about like stepping into that power, stepping into the woman that you want to be, stepping into the woman that path that's right there in front of you. All you have to do is take that path to that wonderful woman that you want to be, to that life that you want. Have it written down, like you've said before. Have your goals written down, have the things you want to do written down. And if there are naysayers, if there are people that you think that don't like you, it's probably on them, and it probably has absolutely nothing to do with you.
They do like you. Chances are they like you. I mean, they're probably not even thinking, they're just trying to get through their day. They're thinking you don't like them. I mean, it's just like this crazy nonsense thing that we do to ourselves. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So
It
yeah,
is.
absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. And the other thing is that, when I have, I always have big dreams and big goals and big visions. And the truth is that, like, if you haven't reached, like, let's say you're thinking, gosh, I really want to be financially free, or I want to have more property so I have more assets, or I want to be able to provide this kind of life for my kids. The truth is that I'm now pretty compassionate to myself in terms of things that I want that haven't happened yet. I don't think, oh, I won't get there. I just think, okay, not yet, not yet, and I kind of am like a loving person to myself to just say, not yet. And then I let it go instead of like sitting in it. Yeah, but you tried this and it didn't work, or you said this and this person didn't respond well to you, or you didn't get this deal, or this thing didn't happen. I don't do that. I just say not yet. And I just keep going, because it's just a waste. It just sucks the life out of you to start getting into that space of like, be kind to yourself. Just, you have another day, take it. You got this. You got time. Not yet.
I love that thought because, okay, my listeners, everyone that's listening right now, how many times have you done this to yourself? You haven't reached that goal. You haven't done that thing. You haven't gotten that bag of money, and you tear yourself down because of it. How is that helping? How is that helping you? How is that helping your family by tearing yourself down? No, you have to find those things that, like Tamar said, lift yourself up, give yourself some compassion. I think we're lacking the compassion for ourselves. That's why a lot of times in this world, we lack compassion for others. But I think it's because we're lacking more compassion for ourselves, giving ourselves the loving kindness, giving ourselves the aloha first, giving ourselves the compassion. And I'm talking to myself right now. I don't know, Tamara, I don't know if you, yeah, I don't know if you got that, but giving ourselves love in order to give it. Tamara, thank you for digging deep into that. There are so many that you have helped right now, so many of my listeners that you have helped. Before I let you go, I want you to tell everyone how they can get a hold of you to get more of this goodness, to get more of the wealth warrior woman that they need.
Thank you so much, Pili. It's always so great to speak with you. And I mean, literally anybody that's just, I love that we dove into this mindset piece. And the thing is that, just think aloha, meditate aloha. It's like, how can you be unhappy? Think of Pili's smile and it'll brighten your day. I could do that. It works for me. If you want to reach out, Instagram at Wealth Warrior Woman, WOMAN. My website is wealthwarriorwoman.com. And I'll look forward to connecting.
Fantastic. Tamara, thank you again for joining us. Thank you for sharing so much goodness. And I cannot wait to talk with you. Everyone, please follow Tamara, whether it's Clubhouse, whether it's Instagram. Find her, follow her. She has so much amazing information. Tamara, thank you again.